Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. My name is Crown, and today I'm going to read you some very interesting stories that I hope that you're gonna love. And now, without further ado, let's go! I own a house a couple houses down from a school, so this was bound to happen eventually. When it's time for the kids to go home, my street is lined bumper to bumper with parents to pick up their kids. The sidewalks are full of families who walk all the way to their cars. I often have to pick up balloons, snack packaging, old homework worksheets, and general garbage that the kids drop. If you're trying to get home around the time school lets out, there is no way you're going to be able to get there before the blockade the parents make is gone. This has been a problem the few years we've lived here. There's two places the kids let out: my street, which is a small cul-de-sac with a school at the top, and the main road that's open all the way down to a baseball park with a wider road to allow street parking and two-way driving. Obviously, if you can't find parking, the tiny residential road isn't the way to go. There are 3 cars at my home: my car, my roommate's car, and my husband's utility van, which he parks on a road to avoid blocking our roommate since she's frequently in and out. Fridays today, I work from home. So when I finished work, I poked my head out of the window to look at my fruit tree I have near my driveway. It's spring, I keep excitedly looking for blooms. And I notice a big white Buick SUV in the middle of my driveway blocking both spots for my car, which my husband was using since I was home, and my roommate's spot. Honestly, why would you park in somebody's driveway? So, on top of these entitled parents blocking up our small residential road, this person decides to take up a private resident's driveway. I got on the phone with the non-emergency police line and took pictures of the vehicle and plate. Then I got my husband's keys and backed his vehicle up to plug the SUV into my driveway, and I waited. 15 minutes later, the mom, big guy sunglasses, big old diamonds on her jewelry, and wearing athleisure, and she comes around to hop in the driver's seat and smiles and waves at me sitting on my steps. Honestly, she probably thought I was a homeowner's kid or something, because I'm in my early 20s rather than the homeowner. Hi, hope you don't mind. Well, you're trespassing. Why would you park in a private driveway? Sorry, won't do it again. We were just leaving. She was being really dismissive and avoiding eye contact despite taking the sunglasses off. I don't care. You have no right to park on my property. I'm on the phone with the police now. It was just for a second. I was just picking up my daughter. It doesn't matter. You don't live here. You don't bark here. At this point, I realize the non-emergency police aren't going to pick up, so I hang up and decide to mess with her a bit. She got in her SUV and dismissively waves at me. So I got in my vehicle that was blocking her in, and I waited, pretending to be still on the phone. She started trying to back out of my driveway because there was a little bit of a gap between my utility van and my neighbor's car, but it was definitely too small for this Buick. I would like to point out this vehicle has a scuffed front bumper, so I had a feeling she has no special awareness outside of her backup camera. Every time she backed up, I honked, still pretending to be on the phone. She tried again, and I honked again. She looked in my grass, and I was about to start recording her in case she tried to go through my front yard, and I honked again. If she kept trying to back out and hit my big utility van, she would certainly lose. She gets out of her SUV and comes up to my van, recognizing she can't do anything without making it far worse for herself. Her face was visibly patchy from the distress, and she asked again, "Are you really calling the police?" "Yes. You're illegally parked on my private property. That's illegal. I don't care if it's for 5 seconds. Don't do it. You don't live here." Her kid got out of the car and I decided that was enough. So I waited for her to get back in her SUV, and I parked my van back in its rightful spot and let her out. After that, I called the school and gave them the license plate number. Nothing will probably come out of it, but I don't think she'll park in someone's driveway again anytime soon. This may be the most petty thing I have ever done in my life. I'm a pretty petty person, and I also believe in malicious compliance, but this takes the cake. So I bought a condo in a building in a large city in the US about 2.5 years ago. The building has an HOA that we all pay into monthly. Since I've lived here, the building has rapidly deteriorated and we have all hired an attorney for a class action style lawsuit. I'm talking broken elevators, broken rooftop AC units, the pool was empty for 4 months during the summer and so on. The people in the building are great though, and we are a friendly bunch. Last year I took the HOA to small claims court because they failed to provide financial documents that show us how our fees are being spent. As this is a legal requirement for all HOAs in my state, I won the case and was awarded the $30 filing fee plus $1. Symbolic, I sued for documents, not money. The fact that they can't provide the documents as they are legally required to do is a separate issue, among others including possible criming that we've hired the attorneys for. I have asked the HOA to pay the $31 to me, and the president of the HOA wants to either meet me somewhere private to give it to me, or he wants to mail me a satisfaction of judgment form, have me sign it and mail it back to him, and then he will mail me a check. No to both. 3 days after I won the case, the HOA announced that they were going to charge us all a special assessment of about $1,000 each and an increase in our monthly dues of 10%. In my state, a membership vote gets triggered if you charge a special assessment that brings the building more than 5% of its yearly income, which means 51% of the owners must approve of the assessment for it to take effect. As this amount is about 20% of our yearly income, a vote should have taken place. When we asked about this vote, the HOA said that it was being made under an emergency clause, which means that the membership vote doesn't have to take place. The emergency? Fixing the elevator that broke on December 24th, 2021. The spirit of the emergency clause is for things like fire, earthquake, flood, and so on. Not a broken elevator that has been broken for a year already. When there was an understandable pushback, the HOA sent out a little email stating that anyone who didn't pay the assessment would have a lien put on their unit. The liens came down yesterday to those who couldn't pay $1,000 on short notice. Our attorneys told us that even though the money is in dispute, we still have to pay it. And I did pay mine. But we also have a lot of retirees/lower income people in the building. The HOA president's house is currently on the market for $20 million. I just got back from the courthouse where I filed a $31 lien against it for $140, clouding its title. It's a matter of principle, not money. Now the title can't change hands until he pays me my $31, and I'm perfectly within my rights to collect on a judgment owed. Edit. Some confusion here. I initially filed the small claims with the HOA as a defendant. The small claim judge determined that was incorrect and said I should sue the individual as the president of the HOA and made me amend the case. Therefore, the defendant in the whole case was a one individual person, and therefore he is responsible for the $31, and I can exercise my right to put a lien on his home in my effort to collect. I can only put a lien against the defendant, and the defendant is a person. I cannot put a lien against the HOA because they were not the defendant in this case. The courts already determined that person owes me money. Hey there, it's Jack. I want to share a story with you all about myself and the journey I've been on. You see, I was born with cerebral palsy, a condition that affects my motor skills and makes it difficult for me to move around. But I don't want you to feel sorry for me. I've learned to live a fulfilling life and overcome the challenges I face every day. Writing has always been a form of therapy for me, especially when it comes to sharing my experiences. But today I want to do something a little different. I prefer to talk about myself in the third person. It makes me feel more comfortable. I don't know why, but it does. So that's how I'm going to tell you my story today. I hope you'll join me on this journey and learn a little bit about me and the obstacles I've faced. Jack woke up early in the morning, as he did every day. He struggled to get out of bed, but he was determined to start his day just like any other person. He spent some time stretching his limbs, which were often stiff from lack of movement. Jack knew that he had to do his physical therapy exercises every day, no matter how challenging they were. As he went through his routine, Jack thought about his childhood. He had been diagnosed with cerebral palsy when he was only a year old, and his parents had been told that he would never walk or talk. But they refused to give up on him, and they enrolled him in physical therapy at a young age. Thanks to their unwavering support and his own determination, Jack was now able to walk with the aid of a walker and communicate effectively with others. Jack's parents had passed away when he was in his teens, but he had continued to persevere with the help of his friends and a supportive community. He had just graduated from college with a degree in social work, and he was eager to start making a difference in the world. As he got dressed for the day, Jack thought about the challenges he faced on a daily basis. He knew that some people would underestimate him because of his disability, but he was determined to prove them wrong. He grabbed his walker and headed out the door, ready to face the day. As Jack is trying to pick up his groceries from the floor, he hears a loud voice shouting, "Move it, Cripple!" He looks up and sees a middle-aged woman standing in front of him, with an angry look on her face. It's Karen, who has just finished shopping and is now in a hurry to leave. Jack is taken aback by her sudden outburst, but he tries to ignore her and continues to collect his items. However, Karen doesn't let up. "I said move it, you useless cripple!" she yells as she tries to push past him. Jack tries to explain that he needs a little more time to gather his things, but Karen isn't interested in hearing what he has to say. She starts to make derogatory comments about his disability, mocking him and belittling him in front of other shoppers. Jack feels embarrassed and humiliated, but he tries to stay calm and composed. Karen's aggression only grows and she shoves Jack with her shopping cart, causing him to lose his balance and fall onto the ground. Several people rush to help Jack and make sure he's okay, while Karen storms out the store, still muttering insults and obscenities. Jack is shaken by the encounter, but he refuses to let Karen's behavior get the best of him. He takes a deep breath, picks up his groceries and heads home. As he walks, he thinks about what happened and how he can prevent it from happening again. He knows he needs to stand up for himself and confront people like Karen who treat him unfairly because of his disability. Jack felt defeated as he left the courthouse that day. The justice system had failed him, and he couldn't help but feel like he was being punished for something that wasn't even his fault. His mind was racing with thoughts of what he could have done differently, how he could have fought harder for his rights. As he made his way home, Jack's frustration turned into anger. He couldn't let Karen get away with what she had done, and he knew he had to find another way to make her pay. He decided to take matters into his own hands and seek revenge. At first, Jack's plan was simple. He would confront Karen and make her apologize for her actions. But as he thought more about it, he realized that wasn't enough. Karen needed to understand the severity of her actions, and he needed to make sure she would never hurt anyone else again. Jack spent weeks researching Karen's background, trying to find any dirt he could find on her. And he discovered that she was a well-known local politician who had a history of mistreating people with disabilities. Armed with this information, Jack came up with a new plan. He decided to start a petition calling for Karen to be removed from the office. He enlisted the help of his friends and family, as well as disability advocacy groups, and soon the petition had thousands of signatures. Jack even went on local news channels to share his story and spread awareness about the mistreatment of disabled individuals. Karen was caught off guard by the sudden backlash. She had never expected her actions to have such severe consequences, and she found herself scrambling to do damage control. But it was too late. The petition gained so much traction that it caught the attention of national news outlets, and Karen's reputation was irreparably damaged. Jack felt a sense of satisfaction as he watched Karen's downfall unfold. It wasn't the revenge he had initially sought, but it was justice nonetheless. He had turned this pain into a powerful movement for change, and he had shown Karen and the world that people with disabilities would no longer be ignored or mistreated. Jack's social media campaign quickly gained traction, with people from all over the world sharing his story and expressing their support for him. Jack is overwhelmed by the outpouring of love and solidarity he receives, and he feels a sense of purpose he has never felt before. As his campaign gains momentum, Jack also begins to educate himself more about disability rights and advocacy. He attends rallies and protests, connects with other activists, and starts to speak out publicly about his experiences. Through his activism, Jack discovers a new passion and a sense of purpose in life, and he realizes that he has the power to affect real change in the world. Meanwhile, Karen's reputation continues to suffer as more and more people learn about her actions. Her social media accounts are flooded with negative comments and messages, and she's even fired from her job after her employer receives complaints about her behavior. Jack continues to fight for justice, but he also realizes that his campaign has had a positive impact on the world. He has inspired others to speak out against ableism and discrimination, and he feels a sense of hope for a more inclusive and a compassionate future. Karen's visit leaves Jack shaken, but he also relieved that he stood up for himself. As he takes a moment to collect himself, he receives a call from a lawyer who has been following his case, and the lawyer offers to take up Jack's case and pursue legal action against Karen once again. With the lawyer's help, Jack feels more confident than ever and continues to spread his message of disability rights and advocacy. He becomes a voice for those who have been silenced and oppressed, and his story inspires others to stand up for themselves and their beliefs. Jack continues to make strides in his non-profit organization, expanding its reach and impact. He becomes a well-known speaker, traveling around the country to share his story and advocate for disability rights. Along the way, he meets other individuals with disabilities who inspire him and become his friends. He also starts dating, something he had been hesitant to do because of his disability. But he realizes that he deserves love and companionship like anyone else. Despite the challenges he still faces, Jack is happy with the life he has built for himself. He has learned that it's not about the hand you are dealt, but how you choose to play it. He's proud of who he is and the impact he's making in the world, and he knows that there is still much more work to be done. With a renewed sense of purpose and determination, Jack looks forward to the next chapter of his life. Apparently, I look like I work everywhere I go because people, usually older people, constantly ask me questions about where to find the items in the aisles of stores I frequent. In their defense, I help run a restaurant and usually do know where things are when people ask me for assistance because I'm there all the time. After my partner witnessed this phenomenon the other day, he reminded me that this was not new. I guess I've been doing this for quite a while. Flashback to more than 20 years ago, when I was living in Cincinnati and my phone number was one digit away from a doctor's office. This mean old guy would call all the time asking for a ride for his wife and himself to their appointments. I found out later that this was a service they provide for their elderly patients who could no longer drive themselves. No amount of explanation would convince this gentleman that I did not in fact work there and that he had the wrong number. I finally had enough of this verbal harassment. I let out a huge sigh, just asked for his address and the time and date of their next appointment. I then found the doctor's office number and I asked if they could help. but because of privacy laws, they regretfully informed me that they couldn't confirm that they were even patients, even though we both knew that they absolutely knew this couple. It was another big sigh. I drove to their house the next day, picked them up and took them to their appointment. The look on the receptionist's face when I walked in the door said it all. "Holy hell," she said. "Please tell me that I didn't just talk to you on the phone yesterday." Yep, that was me. So for 2 years, I would get the call and go pick them up for their appointments. And I wish this story ended with a couple being happy and appreciative. But no, he never hesitated to complain that I was late, that my vehicle was difficult for them to get into, or that I should look more professional. I would always politely remind him that I didn't actually work there, but to no avail. To be honest, I kinda loved it. He was such a cranky old bastard and his grumpiness was so incredibly entertaining to me. But his wife, who was obviously suffering from dementia, was such a sweetheart who thought I was some family member doing them a favor. When I moved from the area, I was so super concerned about them and made sure that the office had someone to take my place. The last time I took them, the folks at the office had a bouquet of flowers and a box of bakery cookies for me to wish me well on my adventures. I left them with my new contact information, and about 6 months later, I got an email telling me that Sir Grumbalot had come in for an appointment with a new driver, actually set up by the office this time, and complained because the other girl was so much better. Totally warmed my heart. As a real reason I even started this was because I'd hoped that if either myself or any of my family were suffering from dementia or any other affliction, that someone would look past it and help out. I still don't regret giving that crappy old bastard and his sweet lovely wife a ride. And now we have reached the end of today's stories. Thank you for watching and see you next time.